We'll get to what Senator Graham had to say in a moment. But first of all, what more can you tell us about HTS, the rebels currently in control there in Syria for the most part? And is this group capable of governing?
Yeah, thanks, Arthel. Yeah, really, I think you're asking all the tough questions. And I think the short answer is we don't know about their capabilities. I think their intent, we should be very wary. This is a group that is an al-Qaeda affiliate group, used to be called the Nusra Front, for those who remember. They rebranded themselves in an attempt to look a bit more pragmatic. What concerns me right now is that they're taking direction and assistance from the Turkish government. And the Turks have not exactly been, good actors in the Middle East. These guys are sponsors of Hamas. They've been sponsors of ISIS. They've worked with the Iranians to help evade sanctions during the height of that nuclear program. So we're dealing with a really bad patron and a bad group that was formerly directly affiliated with ISIS and then al-Qaeda.
And those are excellent points, because the question now is, if not them, then who can run Syria in short order?
Right. And I think there's no one else. I mean, they were the ones that just overran the country. They did so with the help of some other radical Sunni jihadi groups. Those were no better than HTS. The good guys here, I think, if there are any, are probably the Kurds, and the Kurds don't have the kind of strength needed in order to run the country. So we're dealing with the power broker right now, and I suppose there's not much choice in the matter, but their intent long term is what concerns me. I think right now they're saying all the right things. They're trying to talk to the United States. They're signaling to the Israelis that they don't want to beef with them either. All of that, I think, is good news, but in another, let's say, month or 2 months after the dust settles, do they begin to turn their sights on America's allies? Or, by the way, American troops as well, because, of course, we've got hundreds of troops there right now trying to keep the peace.
And speaking of allies, Kurdish allies, can they contain and control ISIS?
Well, they can certainly contain those that they're keeping in their jails, and I think that's going to be important. But I want to watch to see whether HTS tries to break out some of their brethren from these jails. I mean, this is the sort of thing that would not surprise me in an area as volatile as this. Remember, these jihadis at one point fought together. They had a breakup of sorts where HTS declared that it was going to be more pragmatic. But we can see the rhetoric from some of these jihadis in recent days. They are not as pragmatic as advertised, and they could try to join forces with ISIS again.
Yeah, and that's what everyone is saying, including yourself, people who are analyzing this situation who have expertise in it, saying, yeah, this is good for the Syrian people, but be careful of what is to come next. Now, I want to go back to Senator Graham earlier, reflecting what President-elect Trump has said, that the U.S. should take a hands-off approach to Syria. Do you think this is realistic? And then what becomes of this terror haven without the engagement of the U.S. on some level?
Look, I think we cannot endorse this government. I think what we need to be doing is really two primary things. We need to be warning the Turks and the Qataris that they need to get a handle on this government, because they're the ones who were the patrons from the get-go here. The Turks have been providing the training and the arms. The Qataris have been providing the cash. We need to hold them to account for whatever happens inside Syria. And then on top of that, we need to make sure that the Israelis have a green light to take out the chemical weapons, which they've taken out, the surface-to-air missiles, some of those jet fighters and choppers. All those platforms you don't want falling into the hands of the bad guys in Syria. So we need to empower our allies and warn those that might try to make a mess out of Syria. And right now, I'm not sure that we're doing all of that in an orderly way. I think we are, of course, giving the Israelis a free hand, but I have not yet seen the warnings that should be delivered to the patrons of HTS and some of these other groups.
Indeed, a lot going on, very involved over there. Okay, so for now, though, Jonathan, I have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.